Hey guys, I got a cool one for you today. I'm going to be completely replacing the rear suspension on my 2017 Tacoma. I'll be replacing the tired old factory leafs with Old Man Emu's heavy leaf kit. It's the Dakar heavy leaf kit. These leafs are designed for 660 pounds of constant load. They're a 7-leaf pack instead of the factory 4-leaf pack. So it's going to be quite the difference. To secure those leafs, I decided to upgrade to a U-bolt flip kit. So the U-bolt flip kit is made by Archive Garage. Essentially, it's going to improve ground clearance by no longer having the U-bolts and bracket protruding below the axle. So there's a win there for sure. And then it also allows the install of my next upgrade, the Wheeler's Super Bumps. These bumps are supposed to provide a more controlled, progressive, comfortable bottoming response, and they're designed to absorb jarring impacts much better than the factory hard rubber that's currently in place. And finally, to pair nicely with the Dakar leaves, I've chosen the Old Man Emu Nitrocharger Sport shock absorbers. So as you guys can see, I do run quite a bit of extra weight on my truck pretty much year round. It's currently doesn't even have all my gear in it right now. Like this is light for what I currently run. I also recently picked up a hitch carrier for my dirt bike, so that's going to add a lot of weight right to the very right off the rear bumper. Here's most of the main tools I use to complete this job. You should always have more than what you initially think. You're gonna run into roadblocks. Never have the bare minimum, so I've got lots of extra tools on standby in case I run into some issues. But here's a look at the basics for what you should have to do this job properly. So I'm really stoked to finally give my truck the rear suspension upgrade that it needs. Here we go, guys. Alright, so I'm gonna get right into this, guys. I'm not gonna bother showing you how to jack up the truck and remove the tires. Anyone attempting this should know that stuff and be fairly competent with that type of thing. I will, however, quickly mention jack placement. So I like to lift off the rear diff, of course, and I will be placing the jack stands under the frame as far back towards the rear as possible while still sitting on a flat portion of the frame. So now that we have both tires off, I'm also going to remove the spare tire. It's not necessary, but to me it is worth it for the space that it frees up, and it takes like a couple minutes. So since I'll be replacing both shock absorbers, I'm going to take this off. If you're not replacing the shock absorbers, I believe you can just take off one side to swing them out of the way. So I've got my 17 mil deep socket with an impact and a swivel, and my 17 mil box end wrench. No problem. And you need to save the hardware from these, unless your kit came with new hardware, but I think most of the middle grade stuff doesn't come with new bolts for the bottom. So I'll get these cleaned up with a wire brush later. Any job, you should always have channel locks. It's a good idea to pay attention to how these bushings are. Photograph of that. I like to put hardware just back into the part so that it's less easy to get lost. Okay, now we're gonna remove the U-bolts. For my particular U-bolts, they're 19 mil. That's because these are an aftermarket. They came with the leveling kit. I think the factory ones are 21 or 22 possibly. But yeah, for mine they're 19. You're gonna need a deep socket for sure, and a swivel is very handy for getting under there. I think we're gonna go up on this a bit. Take some of that weight. Guys, I did spray everything the night before, and it's taking everything this gun's got, so. Yeah, I'm very happy that I have an impact for this job, because this is these are on there. Okay, helpful hint. I'm really glad I sprayed those bolts the night before. This is a 1/2 inch drive impact that's good for 1,500 foot-pounds of braking torque, and it took just about everything this gun had to break those free. So definitely spray your old hardware the night before with some proper penetrating fluid. Okay, on to the other side. Alright, I've got the shock absorbers off and both leaf spring U-bolts removed. So I'm just gonna drop the axle down a couple inches just to get the energy out of those springs, at least get most of the energy out of those springs. I think we'll call that good for now. And now the fun part, the funner part, getting these things out of here. Okay, now with our 19mm deep socket, 19mm box end wrench for backup, swivel and an extension, I am going to loosen but not remove the top shackle bolt. I don't know how this setup's gonna work, but give it a shot. Yep, perfect. And then we can remove the bottom one completely. No problem. Now it's going to need a little bit of persuasion. That's where our hammer comes in handy. So nope. Yep. I'm going to use one of my pry bars on the back side of this nut. Or sorry, back side of this bolt. There she goes. There. Almost out. Could probably lower the whole assembly a little bit more, but it's so close. Like this. Bingo. Okay. Now we'll get the front leaf bolt off. Worked. There. And the threads they're okay. And next I'm going to remove the brake line bracket that's mounted to the leaf springs. It's just a 12 mil. If you have a little 1/4 inch driver, it's super handy. But again, you can do it by hand easily. Let's see if we can shimmy these out of here. It's gonna need some persuasion. It's coming. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. So the reason why that happened is because the bottle jack I'm using to support the axle is too large to allow this to lower enough. So I think I'll get another jack, a floor jack under there for when I do the other side. This should come out pretty soon here. Brake line sure is in the way. It's almost. Come on, you bugger. There. Okay. Right side leaf is free. Come on. So even the factory ones are pretty heavy. It's gonna be fun putting those big ones in. Okay guys, I went ahead and got a smaller jack so I can get that axle drop down lower and hopefully not have a repeat of that that little release of stored energy that we had on the right side leaf there. So get started on the left side now. Guys, it really pays off to have a lot of different extensions and a swivel, a 1/2 inch swivel. backup wrench on there anytime now. Reverse. Right on. Oh yeah, that one's way easier. Way less tension on there. Yeah, there's some energy there. I can see. Okay. Just a little bit. Nice. Okay, that was a lot more chill than last time. Still a little bit of energy, but it was a lot less aggressive. That is how you get the leaf up. Okay, 2 for 2. Okay guys, time to get everything greased up. So I'm going to be greasing up these bushings and sleeves, and then as well ARB also recommends that these interleaf pads to get all those greased up before installation as well. These springs do have a bit of a reputation for squeaking, so I'm definitely going to get in there with a little pry bar and get all these pads greased on both sides. So we'll do that right away. Yeah. Get my rubber gloves on. Remember to always wear a rubber. Okay. So we'll just sort of gently get the bar in there. I'm using a silicone based grease. It's the closest thing I could find to what Old Man Emu recommends. It has a high resistance to water, so it should be a decent option. This is a bit of a difficult. There we go. Oh yeah. Just gonna put a little bit in here. There. And those just push in by hand like nothing. I believe this is the more crucial part to grease. And that just pushes in. I didn't even need to hammer that. Okay. Wipe off the excess. Down below. All right, that's one corner. I think you guys get the idea. I don't need to show you all 4 of those. So I'll be back when I'm ready to throw these things in. Okay, I'm gonna get the shackles transferred over to the new leaves, and I'm gonna clean up this hardware because I have to reuse it, and it's not in amazing shape, but usable. Nice little coating of anti-seize on there. Next time if I need to take this apart, it'll be a lot easier. Okay, I just gotta make sure I'm putting this in the right way. So that's forward, and this will come out that way. Yeah. All right, that guy stays on loose. Take these guys out. Okay, and we are just about ready to throw these bad boys in. Good Lord, that is heavy. Okay, good things are happening. Good things are happening here. It's actually pretty lined up. A little more persuasion, maybe. Now, if it gives you too much resistance, you don't want to hammer it because you can mess the threads up pretty easily, but it doesn't seem to be too bad. Push that through. Yep. Right on. Okay. Guys, don't mind the heavy breathing. It is 34 degrees out here. Whew. Not the best time to be doing a heavy duty install outside, but okay. So I'm just gonna get this hand tight, just thread it all the way in, but not actually tightened. We're gonna do all the torquing once the vehicle's back on its wheels and all the suspension's under load. Ooh, I got a lot of sweat in my eyes. Okay. Now this guy's gonna be fun. Hey, can I use a quick hand?
Yep.
Just feed this through when I pull this down, if you don't mind.
perfect attire for this.
It's okay.
Look how many.
Let me move that over a bit. Really hard to do with only two hands.
More.
A little more,
it's gotta go this way more.
Yeah, I bumped it. Because
Down more. Keep going.
beautiful, thank you.
Yep.
Whew.
That would be hard by yourself.
Yeah. So I did end up getting a second set of hands for that. Probably could have got it eventually, but my sister happened to be walking by, so I got her to feed the bolt through while I held the leaf. Okay, we're getting there, guys. Stay tuned. Whatever you do, don't rest the 80-pound leaf spring on your brake line. That wouldn't be good. Okay, leaf number 2 is mostly in. Now, time to get these U-bolts put on, and the U-bolt flip kit and the bump stops. Okay, time for the Archive Garage U-bolt flip kit, along with my fancy new bump stop that I paid way too much money for. You guys don't even want to know what I paid for this pretty chunk of steel and whatever the heck this is made out of. Some fancy rubber plastic composite crap. It does feel a lot softer. It does feel like quality. Like, this is definitely not cheap stuff. This is the saddest parting. This is the satisfying part. Nice, so it's much heavier duty bolt up, so I like that. Okay, I'm gonna put this at its lowest torque setting just to get these spun in all the way, if I can fit it in here. Okay, you want to make sure that that pin underneath the leaves is going into the hole, and yes it is. I'm going to tighten this a little bit. Make sure everything's going down evenly. It's looking pretty good so far. is at a very low torque setting, so guys, don't think that I'm cranking this down right now. And now it is time for the shock absorbers. It's all downhill from here. The hardest stuff is out of the way. Whoa. Well, that wasn't very fun. I don't know why that was so difficult. Pull the muscle in my neck. Ah, gotcha. 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 That's tough. I'll have to lift the axle up a little bit. We're just a little uneven. Okay, and do not forget to put the brake line bracket back on. So I had to trim this one. I had to sort of grind down the bracket flush so that it fits properly on here. I just used an angle grinder. Wasn't a big deal. So yeah, both sides brake line brackets. All right, everything's on. Just getting the truck ready to lower back on the ground and do the final torque ups. Okay, time for some torquing. Not really sure how easily I can get the wrench, the torque wrench in there now that I have the tires on. But give it a shot. So these ones, these U-bolts have torque specs that came from Archive Garage. They only ask for 80 foot-pounds. So 80 is what they're getting. There's 80. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, now we're going to torque shock absorber to axle. Go down to this 17 mil. Shock absorber to axle is measly 43 foot-pounds. All right. Okay, now shock absorber to frame, and that's only 15 foot-pounds. And there's no way I'm fitting my torque wrench on there. So the proper way to do it would be to use a crow's foot attachment on the torque wrench, but I don't have that, and I'm not too concerned about 15 foot-pounds. I'm pretty sure I can gauge that pretty well. That's about 15 pounds. Okay, when you're done with that, just leave the pliers in there. It doesn't really matter, you can just leave them there, and it's good to go. So 116 foot-pounds for these front leafs. Alright, now 89 and 89 for the two rear bolts. Alright, thanks a lot for watching, guys. especially if you made it through that whole video. Stay tuned for more content on this. I'm going to be doing an update on how the suspension's working for me, whether or not I get any squeaking down the road. I'll also be doing a video for the front suspension. As soon as I get money to buy parts for that, I'm going to upgrade the front as well. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.